What if enlightenment was closer than we have been led to believe? Consider, if you will, Sturgeon's law that 90% of everything sucks, including meditation teachers. What if that 90% majority were yang oriented in their worldview? What could I mean by that? What if these teachers, these so-called teachers, were rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel? How could that affect the way they teach? Is it not, it does not require a great stretch of the imagination to think that if someone is rigid and fearful and controlling and elitist, they might present the Buddhist path as being arduous and difficult and lengthy. But what if what if that contradicts the Buddha's timeline? All one has to do is read the final portion of the Satipatthana Sutta to learn that full enlightenment can be accomplished in as little as 7 years, or 7 quarters, or 7 months, or 7 fortnights, or 7 weeks, and wait for it, even 7 days. There's no passages in there that says, but only if you're special. It doesn't say, but only if you're a man, but only if you speak this language, or but only if you were born at this time. There are no caveats at all. The Buddha presented an easy path. So we've shown that Buddha's path contradicts the worldview espoused by those on the path of Yang. How about those on the path of Yin? How about those instead who are flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind? What if they describe the Buddhist path as being quick and easy? What if the Buddhist path was simple? Practice the Eightfold Path and then master the Eightfold Path. Excuse me. I've got a raw version of fermented, what's it called? Starts with an S, a Chinese condiment, sriracha, stuck in the back of my throat. Excuse me. Oh. All classy, all the time. So what if enlightenment was simply about practicing the Eightfold Path and then mastering the Eightfold Path? And what if the Eightfold Path wasn't esoteric? What if it just was trenchant? What if it made sense? Now, for those of us who have 5 digits on each hand, 8 can seem mystifying. Fortunately, over the centuries, the Eightfold Path has been thought of as having 3 subgroups, and 3 makes perfect sense to us. We have contemplation, we have compassionate action, we have meditation. That seems doable. So what if an enlightening worldview was nothing mystical? It was simple. The first one could be, stuff changes. This summer's green leaf becomes autumn's red leaf, which becomes winter's mulch. Things change, and changing makes grasping at things kind of impractical. What if the second worldview was simply that of empathy? Good news. We are already wired to observe change. We are already wired to be empathetic. We already have a prefrontal cortex. We already have an anterior cingulate gyrus. We are wired for these things. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel, which is a good thing if you're even half as lazy as me. What about compassionate action? Oh man, we got to memorize hundreds and hundreds of vows? No. All you got to do is choose to be kind. Choose to be kind with your communication, choose to be kind with your general conduct, and especially choose to be kind when it comes to commerce. Don't be a Karen who tries to get people fired. Don't be a Chad who tries to drive other businesses out of business. Let's not be predatory. Let's be kind. That's Buddhist morality in a nutshell. And we're already wired to do that. How many of us have seen that wonderful video, perhaps on Instagram, of two moms shopping, and they've got kids, they're holding kids with one arm and shopping with the other arm. And these two kids are reaching over their mom's shoulders out to each other and hold hands. They're different genders, they're different races, if there is such a thing, and there's not. But we're wired for kindness. We're wired for empathy. So that's cool. So that's 2/3 of the Buddhist path right there. Let's look at the final third of the Buddhist path, meditation. It has 3 components. Enthusiasm, which is rather joyful. Mindfulness, which again, which is predicated upon our let's be more precise, our sympathetic nervous system. Now, that's not wired for active concentration because that'll make us cranky. That'll undermine our empathy, and that'll undermine our ability to appreciate impermanence. But instead, our sympathetic nervous system is wired to simply notice, to merely perceive, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Finally, that brings us to meditation. Now, meditation is predicated upon our parasympathetic nervous system, and it's wired for physical relaxation and mental release. We don't have to believe in anything. We don't have to force ourselves to stop believing things or start believing things. Here's how we're wired. We're wired in such a way that every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our previous inhalation can at least metaphorically feel, can at least figuratively feel as if it was as non-graspable as if it had never been born, as if it was as non-graspable as if it was selfless, as if it was as non-graspable as if it was deathless, as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. And so we see the lofty teachings of Buddhism are simply figures of speech. There was, in the 70s, there was a wonderful, I think he was Polish, biologist who said biology only makes sense when seen through the lens of evolution. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. Similarly, the deep things of the Buddha only make sense when seen through the lens of figurative speech. And so we can see that this eightfold path is something that we are already wired to do. Now, there is a caveat. And to do that, to explain the caveat, I'm going to do my best to switch screens and tap button 7. And hopefully that will demonstrate a side view of a human brain. So this is the basic area of our empathy center. This is the basic area of our fear and aggression center. When we experience a sufficient degree of peril, all complex life forms, the blood mass pools down here and we become cranky bastards. However, a side effect of an effective and regular practice of mindfulness and meditation is that this stops lighting up, and instead the empathy center lights up. Now, a few years ago, they ran a senior Buddhist monk through a functional magnetic resonance imaging device, also known as an fMRI. fMRI, that's it. And I was expecting him to. I was taught that we train in empathy through contemplation, through forcing it. But that wasn't what he was doing. He was practicing just mindfulness and meditation, noticing and relaxing. And that was causing his prefrontal cortex to light up. The simple basic practice of relying on our autonomic nervous system to notice and relax helps us to be the awesome people that we were wired to be. That is our birthright. The people that our dogs already think we are. Gotta push the right button. Let's see. Which one is it? I think it's 5. So now that we know the Eightfold Path, this is how we traverse the path. How do we master the path? Well, how would Abraham Maslow answer that question? Remember Abraham Maslow? We probably learned about him in Psych 101. That's when I first heard about him, way back in the early 80s, when the crust of the earth was still cooling. And Abraham Maslow had 4 ideas when it came to mastery. And they seem deliciously redundant. It's the journey from incompetence to competence. Well, that's only 2 factors. Well, there's 2 modifying things. The consciousness and the unconsciousness. So unconscious incompetence would be like this. Hey, George, you know how to juggle flaming batons? I didn't know that was an option. Okay, so he's incompetent, but he's also unconscious because it never occurred to him. But now that you've put the idea in his head, he's going to go to a fraternity party, get plastered, and try to juggle something that's on fire and burn himself, and he'll become very aware, very conscious of his incompetence. Let's pretend George, our friend George, over the summer goes to a juggling academy of all things, and he works very hard. And after a few months, he's learned how to juggle flaming batons, but to do so requires a substantial amount of conscious effort. That's fine. That's perfectly appropriate for where he's at. But if he persists in juggling every day, then eventually, not only will he be competent, but his competence will be effortless. In Mahayana Buddhism, there's a phrase called expedient means. What it often means is that that is a fringe benefit of mindfulness and meditation. We experience the highest love, which is spontaneous and uncontrived. We experience a type of loving, centered spontaneity. When we are enlightened, we are able to simply practice the skill set, whether it's juggling flaming batons or it's simply practicing the Eightfold Path, but we're able to do it from a place of centered spontaneity. We're able to practice it easily, effortlessly. What's one phrase I'd like to use? Spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. That's it. No, it doesn't take the length of 3 universes, the birth and death of 3 universes to do that. It doesn't have to take 7 lifetimes to do that. The Buddha said it's possible to get that good at this path in a week. So if someone tells you otherwise, thank them for their time and run away. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you, and after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 3 decades, I've spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying and practicing and mastering and reverse engineering the teachings of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. What I long to do is create an idiot-proof, easy path to enlightenment that anyone can do if they so desire. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. This brings us to this evening's practice text, the latest iteration of Easy Dzogchen. Once again, I just want to make it as easy as possible for everybody. A lot of people find it helpful to do a short chant before and after meditation. That chant to be basically love-oriented. It's a nice grounding technique. So what we're going to do is practice bodhicitta's empathy and the enthusiasm of refuge. I should probably call it the empathy of bodhicitta and the enthusiasm of refuge. So the first recitation is going to be more literal, and we're going to set it to a triplet chant together. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on thee, Buddha's example, instructions, and students. So these three nouns are so useful that they've earned the nickname of the three wish-fulfilling jewels. In our final premeditation chant, we're going to perform a recitation which is more concise and more figurative. We're going to set it to a bookend chant together. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. Now, together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as Yoda on Dagobah under the guidance of the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. As children, our first bicycle we received most likely had training wheels. Now, they did the job, but they were clunky. Similarly, this evening's first meditation is going to be super easy, but super clunky. Don't worry, it's just going to play with it for a few minutes to get up to speed. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. As we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. What is mind's non-graspable nature? It's a figure of speech. It's just a way of poetically describing what it feels like as you relax in harmony with your exhalation. What are some of the ways that mind plays? What are some of mind's antics? Well, mind through its organs sees, hears, feels, tastes, smells, and the like. Internally, mind emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. So let's buckle up and let's play with this for a few minutes. Way back in the 90s, I had the very good fortune for Lama Jigme Chodrak Gyatso to teach me this 7-line prayer. And even though it's called the 7-line prayer, I've organized it as 2 sets of 4 lines called quatrains. During each inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the rhetorical question, how relax into the awareness of this. We're going to play with the Tibetan pronunciation of the mantric syllables. Hugin Organ sun upon his northwest rim on lotus pistol cup and stem. Wondrous supreme mastery you found, and as the lotus born you are renowned. A ring of many dakinis encircles you, and in your first steps practicing we follow you. To grant your blessings come we pray Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. Many people have translated this. This is a more recent translation that rhymes. So of course I love it because it reminds me of Dr. Seuss. Hugin organs line upon his northwest rim on lotus pistol cup and stem. Wondrous supreme mastery you found, and as the lotus born you are renowned. A ring of many dakinis encircles you, and in your footsteps practicing we follow you. To grant your blessings come we pray Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. Hugin organs line upon his northwest rim on lotus pistol cup and stem. Wondrous supreme mastery you found, and as the lotus born you are renowned. A ring of many dakinis encircles you, and in your footsteps practicing we follow you. To grant your blessings come we pray Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. Hugin organs line upon his northwest rim on lotus pistol cup and stem. Wondrous supreme mastery you found, and as a lotus born you are renowned. A ring of many dakinis encircles you, and in your footsteps practicing we follow you. To grant your blessings come we pray Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. Hugin organs line upon his northwest rim on lotus pistol cup and stem. Wondrous supreme mastery you found, and as a lotus born you are renowned. A ring of many dakinis encircles you, and in your footsteps practicing we follow you. To grant your blessings come we pray Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. Hugin organs line upon his northwest rim on lotus pistol cup and stem. Wondrous supreme mastery you found, and as the lotus born you are renowned. A ring of many dakinis encircles you, and in your footsteps practicing we follow you. To grant your blessings come we pray Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. If this is impossible for you to read, let me know and I will reformat this page. Hugin organs line upon his northwest rim on lotus pistol cup and stem. Wondrous supreme mastery you found, and as a lotus born you are renowned. A ring of many dakinis encircles you, and in your footsteps practicing we follow you. To grant your blessings come we pray Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. Hugin organs line upon his northwest rim on lotus pistol cup and stem. Wondrous supreme mastery you found, and as a lotus born you are renowned. A ring of many dakinis encircles you, and in your footsteps practicing we follow you. To grant your blessings come we pray Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. So that completes the 8th recitation of this practice. I should say, if I want to be fancy, the 8th repetition of this recitation. Now we're going to remove the first of 2 metaphoric training wheels and transform our 12-syllable exercise, reduce it really, to a 3-syllable exercise. As we inhale, we could silently and mentally recite, notice this. And as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing. Good news, you're not crazy. It is as you've suspected. There are times when it feels like our circumstances or our bodies or our relationships or our minds are trying to beat us up and take our lunch money. When that happens, it can be useful to play with one of 10 labels. We do not play with these labels to lie to ourselves about what we're feeling. We play with these labels to harmonize with what we're feeling so that we can actually benefit from what we're feeling. We can actually harness their kinetic energy, their momentum, if you will. For instance, right now my sinuses hurt, so I'm playing with sensation, relaxing. Now I'm having a flashback to a trip when I was a little boy. So that would be recollect, relaxing. And now I'm analyzing my behavior on that vacation. So that would be cognition, relaxing. And I might add, my analysis is spontaneous. It is involuntary. Now, a deep, still deep voice might say, someday you'll never have to worry about this again. But that's a lie. As long as we're alive, our brains are going to do all sorts of interesting things like perceive, emote, intend, reason, recall, and imagine. We are wired to do so. The freedom the Buddha offers us is not freedom from our tendencies to have a fully sentient brain. It's freedom from the tyranny of our fully sentient brain. And we free ourselves from the tyranny by harmonizing with it. The way an Aikido master might harmonize with someone charging him and trying to tackle him. Now we turn our attention to the Tibetan pronunciation of the 12-syllable mantra known as the Benzoguru mantra or the Vajraguru mantra. During our inhalation, we're going to continue playing with our rhetorical question. During our exhalation, we're going to physically relax as best we can as we chant these syllables. Umahung Benzoguru me maziri umahung Benzoguru me maziri umahung Benzoguru me maziri umahung Benzoguru me maziri. One of the things you'll probably notice is that in the Tibetan pronunciation, our R's are soft. We do not roll them. In fact, the quickest way to annoy a Tibetan teacher is to roll your R's when speaking Tibetan. They don't like that. Umahung Benzoguru me maziri umahung Benzoguru me maziri umahung Benzoguru me maziri umahung Benzoguru me maziri. I guarantee that by the end of this session, you will not feel amped up. You will not feel like Hulk smash. This will not be a good pre-workout practice, but you will feel very peaceful, very easygoing. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum 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 Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum. We're now at last removing the second of 2 men of work training wheels and transforming our exercise of mindfulness and meditation from its 3-syllable aspect down to its basic 1-syllable aspect. As we breathe in, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And as we exhale, we can silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Hum. What do we mean by this? This is whatever comes to mind. Whatever sight, sound, sensation, flavor, scent, or the like comes to mind. Whatever emotion, intention, thought, memory, or imagining comes to mind. And so that's all we're going to do tonight is flip-flop between a chant, chanting with the mouth, and then resting the mind. Oma hung benzo guru me maziri yung oma hung benzo guru me maziri yung oma hung benzo guru me maziri yung oma hung benzo guru me maziri hung. Oma hung benzo guru me maziri yung oma hung benzo guru me maziri yung oma hung benzo guru me maziri yung oma hung benzo guru me maziri hung. The magic of this process, if there is such a thing, occurs by relaxing as best we can while chanting the mantra. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri 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 Om. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri 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 Om. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri 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 Om. Om Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri Om. In modern times, relatively contemporary times in Tibet, or perhaps it was in Dharma Masala, I do not recall, there was a blind fellow who, despite his enthusiasm, could not clearly read great sadhanas because he lost his vision. But he could learn one mantra. And so he made that mantra his practice. He chanted mantra, he relaxed the mind, he became a Buddha. So can we. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri 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 Om. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Mazeri 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 Om. Om Manzaguru me Mazeri 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 Welcome to the live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. As you breathe in, please silently and mentally recite the rhetorical question, how relax into the awareness of this. And this is whatever comes out. Be it glorious, be it grotesque, be it interesting or be it boring, be it pleasurable or be it painful, be it internal, be it external. During our exhalation, we physically relax as best we can as we chant this 12-syllable mantra. Om Aum Manzo Guru Me Mazari 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 As we breathe in, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Om Aum Manzo Guru Me Mazari 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 Allahum benzoguru mi maziri 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 Om Manzo Guru Me 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 Maziri Om Manzuguru 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 me maziri Om Manzu Guru 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 Me Mazini Om Manzu Guru Me Maziri Om Manzu Guru Me Maziri Om Manzu Guru Me Maziri Om Manzu Guru Me Mazini Om Manzu Guru Me Maziri Om Manzu Guru Me Maziri Om Manzu Guru Me Maziri Om Manzu Guru Me Mazini Om Manzu Guru Me Maziri 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 Om Manzu Guru Me Mazini Om Manzu Guru Me Maziri 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 Let us seal this evening's practice with a bit of the old kind ethics and 4 immeasurables. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness flow spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.